Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Hi everyone and have a good time. Let me introduce myself. I'm adristi zulaika and now I want to presenting about neurolinguistics. Hope you enjoy. First, what is neurolinguistics? Neurolinguistics studies the relation of language and communication to different aspects of brain function. It tries to explore how the brain understands and produces language and communication. This involves attempting to combine theory from neurology or neurophysiology, how the brain is structured and how it functions, with linguistics theory, how language is structured and how it functions. Okay, now let's see the relation between brain and language. First, we have localism. Localism tries to find locations or centers in the brain for different language functions. Localism stands for the differentiation of different high functions that are localized in different centers of the brain, mainly the cortex. In the case, centers can be seen as sisters, being equally important, or one center, example, the prefrontal area, to the front of the frontal lobes, can be seen as superordinate to the others. Second, we have associationism, places language functions and the connections between different areas, for example, perceptions of different sense with words and or concepts. Associationism assumes that higher functions are depends on the connections between different centers in the cortex. Linguistics ability is seen as the relation between image and words. Aphasia results from broken connections between the centers that are needed for linguistic function. Representatives of this view are Wernicke, Lichtenstein, and Gershwin. This view is also sometimes called the classical. The classical is called Wernicke and Lichtenstein, and the classical is the Gershwin view. Okay, third we have dynamic and dynamic localization of function. Dynamic localization of function assumes that functional systems of localized functions perform language functions. Such systems are dynamic, so that they can be recognized during language development or after a brain damage. In this type of theory, different functions are seen as localized in different parts of the brain. These subfunctions must be combined in order to achieve more complex functions, which can be put together in a number of different alternative ways. The relation between a localized lesion and the function that are disturbed becomes more complex in this case. This is the view of Luria. Okay, fourth we have holistic. Holistic theories consider many language functions as handled by large parts of the brain working together. Holistic is the opinion that the brain, at least containing higher function, work as a whole. The cortex is said to handle, for example, higher cognitive function, symbolic thinking, intelligence, or abstraction. And aphasia is a sign of general cognitive loss, not a specific language loss. This view has also been called cognitivism, and some representatives are Mary Head and Goldstein. The hierarchical views are also sometimes counted as holistic, and Jackson is regarded as the founder of the cognitive school. Last but not least, we have evolution-based. Evolution-based theories stress the relation between how brain and language evolve over time in different species, how they develop in children, and how adults perform language function. Evolution-based is also called the hierarchical. Evolution-based theories emphasize the layer structure of the brain from inner or lower and more primitive structures to the later developed and superimposed cortical layer and the role of all these layers in language and communication. Jackson is an early representative, Brown a contemporary one. Okay, now let's see the history. First, William I, founder of experimental psychology, language as mechanism to transfer thought into sentence. Second, Gall is phonology, Broca. Third is Broca, first case of expressive aphasia. Fourth is Wernicke's, first case of comprehension aphasia. Okay, let's see language area in phonology. This is the language area in phonology. Okay, next we have Broca's aphasia. Paul Broca, autopsy of a patient who could understand with normal speech apparatus but could not speak or write a sentence. Only articulate sound he could make was tongue. After autopsying examined a patient with lesion in the left frontal lobe, he made a famous statement that we speak with the left hemisphere. Um, and he made a three statement. First, language articulation lies the third frontal convolution of the inferior frontal gyrus. Second, there is left hemisphere dominance in language articulation. Third, understanding language is a different cognitive task than producing it. Next, let's see Wernicke's aphasia. Wernicke's aphasia. 10 years later, Karl Wernicke, a German neurologist, discovered another part of brain. This one involved in understanding language in the posterior portion of the left temporal lobe. People who had a lesion at this location could speak, but their speech was often incoherent and made no sense. Okay, next, we see language-related areas in the human brain. First, the implementation system is made up of several regions located around the left sylvian fissure. It includes the classical language areas. As you can see here, in the B areas, you can see here in the picture is Broca's area and the W is Wernicke's area. And the adjoining supramarginal gyrus SM area, you can see here, angular gyrus AG, auditory cortex A, motor cortex M, and somatosensory cortex SS. The posterior and anterior components of the implementation system, respectively Wernicke's area and Broca's area, are connected by the arcuate fissures. Second, the mediational system surrounds the implementation system like a belt. The mediational system is the blue areas, you can see here in the picture. The regions identified so far are located in the left temporal pole, the TP area, you can see here, left infratemporal cortex LT, and left prefrontal cortex is PF. The left basal ganglia complex, this is not picture, is an integral part of the language implementation system. Okay, now let's see an amazing facts. First, according to John Locke, when baby tears his first mama at age 1, adults excel that he has finally begun learning to speak, but his lessons in language began long before. Even in the womb, the infant's neural and vocal sense are being actively developed. Second, Locke and others found out that the right hemisphere plays an important role in language during the first 3 to 7 years of life. Third, in the act of speaking, the right side of an adult's mouth tends to open first because motor control of the right side of the body and control of the speech are both vested in the left hemisphere of the brain. Fourth, in young children, both sides of the mouth are open at the same time because the right side of the brain, which controls the left side of the mouth, has the speech centers. Okay, thank you for your attention. That's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.